Pessoal, uma bomba agora para vocês. E partiu lá de Israel. E vocês vão ficar sabendo aqui. Eduardo Bolsonaro e Flávio Bolsonaro estiveram lá em Israel numa conferência em que citaram por várias vezes o desgoverno e tudo mais aqui do Lula. Mas o que eles foram fazer em Israel? Que conferência é essa? Num evento que tem o foco, né, como foco o enfrentamento do antissemitismo, né, o que é o quê? Que é o preconceito ou ódio contra o povo judeu. Os parlamentares também fizeram declarações envolvendo o atual presidente do Brasil, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. O Nai, né? É isso aí mesmo, tá? Gerando até debates e reações e questionamentos dentro e fora do país. O Lula foi citado e você vai ficar sabendo o que disseram. A repercussão foi internacional. Veja comigo. Antes, se inscreva aqui no canal, que não custa nada, que eu trago vídeo todos os dias para vocês aqui. Se inscreva e fique por dentro de todas as notícias que eu vou trazer aqui todos os dias. Se inscreva, ative o sininho e compartilhe com um amigo de vocês. E o primeiro a falar aqui é Eduardo Bolsonaro, tá? E Lula é denunciado em Israel, esse é o título do vídeo. Mas eu quero que vocês percebam que a voz de Eduardo Bolsonaro está um pouco rouca, mas é traduzido ali embaixo para vocês verem. Então acompanhe ali a legenda ali embaixo, de ele falando, claro, que ele fala em inglês, fala muito bem por sinal, mas a tradução ali, a gente fez a tradução ali embaixo para vocês acompanharem o vídeo aqui. Olha o que ele fala e a denúncia que ele faz sobre Lula.
That's why there is no justification for Brazil under the Lula administration to withdraw from the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance. Why he rejects Holocaust education in a country with the second largest Jewish community in Latin America. Anyone with a moral compass knows the answer. All intelligence services know what happens in the tri-border area between Brazil, Argentina, and Paraguay. And maybe that's why Argentina and Paraguay declared South America's cartels as CV and PCC, which proven to launder money to Hezbollah and Islamic Jihad as terrorist groups. And Lula da Silva in Brazil didn't. The absence of attacks does not mean absence of terrorists. And from those three countries, only one currently refuses full cooperation with the United States under President Trump. Yes, that's Brazil under Lula's administration. Thanks God, I can show it very comfortably, and in some neighborhoods around here, they do not even can look very closely. You know why. Thank you very much.
I think that President Lula is a symbol of socialism connecting to anti-Semitism, basically.
100%. We will defeat them. My brother, Senator Flávio Bolsonaro, will run for president in October. I ask you for support him.
Flávio Bolsonaro.
My father naturally could run, but he's in jail because of lawfare.
Bom, vocês vão ver o próximo vídeo agora, Flávio Bolsonaro discussão, tá? Agora, Eduardo Bolsonaro apresentou Flávio Bolsonaro. Olha só, assistam agora aqui um depoimento bombástico, né, cara? É bomba. Olha o que o Flávio Bolsonaro vai falar nesse depoimento aqui.
Thank you, Minister Amichai
Eu acho que essa voz está a melhor voz.
It's a great honor to be here. Thank you so much for your words yesterday. May God make them real in a very close future. Ladies and gentlemen, authorities, representatives of free nations, friends of Israel, Brazilian Jewish community. Brazil and Israel share a long and honorable history. In 1947, a Brazilian diplomat, Oswaldo Aranha, led the United Nations General Assembly and helped make possible the vote that created the State of Israel. Brazil recognized Israel soon after its independence. For many decades, our countries worked together as democratic nations in diplomacy, farming, technology, security, and innovation. This friendship was based on shared values, freedom, democracy, and respect for life. This historic bond was clearly defended under President Jair Bolsonaro. As president, Bolsonaro left no doubt he stood with Israel in international forums. He made cooperation between our countries stronger. And he made one thing very clear. Brazil stood with Israel against terrorism, with no excuses and no double standards. Sadly, this legacy was broken. Today, anti-Semitism is not a small issue. It's not only part of history. It's a real and growing global threat. History teaches us that anti-Semitism rarely shows its face clearly. It changes, it hides, it uses new words. Today, it often calls itself anti-Zionism, but the goal is the same: to deny the Jewish people what every other nation has, the right to have their own state, dignity, and security. There is only one Jewish state in the world. To deny its right to exist is not political debate, it's discrimination. The attacks of October 7th showed this truth very, very clear. The world saw barbarism live, and yet in many places there was no anger, there was no support, there was silence, and in some cases, support for terror. Sadly, Brazil became one of those cases. Under President Lula, Brazil's policy suffered a deep moral failure. Let me be very clear. Lula is anti-Semitic. This is not a slogan. This is not exaggeration. This is based on his ideas, his advisors, his words, and his actions. The main designer of Lula's international policy, his top advisor, Celso Amorim, wrote the preface of a book that praises Hamas and presents it as a normal political group. Hamas is not a resistance group. Hamas is a terrorist organization, the same group that killed innocent Israeli families on October 7th. This shows that what we see today is not an accident. It's not a mistake. It's an ideology. And this ideology does not stay on paper. It becomes government action. In early 2023, the Brazilian government allowed Iranian warships from a regime that openly calls for the destruction of Israel to enter a Brazilian port. After the Hamas massacre of October 7th, while Israel was still mourning its dead, Lula rushed to accuse Israel of acting in a violent and unfair way. When Brazil's citizens left Gaza in November 2023, Lula used that moment not to condemn Hamas, but to attack Israel. From 2023 on, Brazil voted again and again against Israel at the United Nations and other international bodies. In February 2024, Lula crossed a moral line by comparing Israel's actions to the Holocaust, an anti-Semitic statement that insulted the Jewish people and minimized the worst crime in history. Brazil then called back its ambassador from Israel, stopped military cooperation with Israeli companies, supported false genocide claims against Israel in international courts, and refused to approve a new Israel ambassador. These are no single mistakes. They form a clear and intentional partner. Ladies and gentlemen, I speak today not only as a senator, but as a candidate for President of Brazil. Thank you. My father, Jair Bolsonaro, is today in prison because of political persecution, not justice. But
Agora ele está falando que o
ideas
presidente Bolsonaro está sendo
cannot be
perseguido no
locked
Brasil
away.
e
And
é um preso
truth
político,
cannot
né?
be silenced. I'm running for president because Brazil needs a moral and strategic reset. In this new moment for Latin America, the United States, together with responsible democracies, has helped build a new model of international cooperation. We already have real examples of this new path. The Isaac Accords, led by the great Argentine president Javier Milei, are a historic step forward. They strengthen diplomatic, economic, and institutional ties between Israel and Latin America democracies. And let me say this clearly, here and before history. If it depends on me, Brazil will officially sign the Isaac Accords in January 2027. We must also recognize the strong cooperation between United States and Paraguay in the fight against terrorism and drug crime in the three-border region, an area long used to fund extremist groups. This shows a basic truth. To fight terrorism, we need countries working together, shared intelligence, and moral clarity. Brazil cannot stay silent. Brazil must choose a side. In this global fight, Israel stands on the front line of democracy against barbarism. Let this be said clearly. Brazil must stand with Israel, with the Jewish people, with democracies that fight terror without excuse. History is watching, and history does not forgive those who stay silent. God will, the next Brazilian president will not be persona non grata in Israel. May God bless Israel. May God bless Brazil. Toda Rabá.
Muito bem, né, cara? Esse foi o discurso tipo A do Bolsonaro, né? Por sua vez, um belo discurso falando da perseguição política que Bolsonaro tem sofrido no Brasil, que ele é um preso político. Nada mais é que isso mesmo, né? Bolsonaro é um preso político, é perseguição política, é uma questão do Alexandre de Moraes contra Bolsonaro, né? Vingança, essa é a palavra certa, vingança. Se inscreva no canal, ative o sininho das notificações e compartilhe esse vídeo com os seus amigos e